In this video, we are going to learn about the key characteristics of a quadratic graph. Today during class, we completed investigation 1.1. Turn to that page in your notebook, and we're going to make sure that all of the correct parts of our graph are labeled. So the first thing I want to talk about is the name of this graph. This graph we call a parabola. So any graph that is U-shaped is called a parabola. So I'll write up here, quadratic graph. Is called a parabola. And this parabola also is opening down. If you see the points are increasing, they reach a point and then they're decreasing. When a graph looks like this, it's considered opening down. Another important piece about this graph is we discussed how the dots increase, reach this point, we call this point the vertex, and then decrease. So because of this change in direction, we consider this point the vertex. So I'm going to circle this. This is our vertex. And since this is the highest point on the graph, we call this the vertex maximum. We also noticed that when moving in either direction, the points are symmetrical. The points are repeated. And if I were to fold this graph in half, it would be mirrored on both sides. So because of that, it's considered to have a line of symmetry. The line of symmetry is drawn through the vertex. The equation we use for this line of symmetry is x equals 5, because that's where the x value is located of the line of symmetry. You may or may not have these points drawn in on your graph, but draw them in now. We call these points, which I'll circle, x-intercepts, or zeros. These terms mean the same thing. So this x-intercept is located at 0, 0, and this x-intercept is located at 10, 0. This x-intercept is also special because it's also considered a y-intercept because it goes through both the x and the y axis. Now turn to the next page in your notebook. We are going to look at another type of parabola, but this time the parabola is going to open differently. I attached this worksheet to the assignment, so if you would like to print this to have and complete, you can. If you prefer to just write all this information out in your notebook, you can do the same thing as well. But sketch this graph out if you don't print it. And then now we're going to answer these questions that pertain to this graph. So the shape of the graph is a parabola. Anything that is U-shaped is considered a parabola. This parabola, in this case, it decreases, hits the vertex, and then increases. So we consider this opening up. The y-intercept, which is here, is located at 0, -3. If you remember, for a y-intercept, it's always 0, a number. The zeros, or x-intercepts, are located here and here. So they're located at -5, 0, and 1, 0. This graph is a little bit different than the one before because while we do have a vertex, and the vertex again is where there's a change in direction, This point is the lowest point on the graph, so we consider this having a vertex minimum. And the location of our vertex minimum is at -2, -6. I'm going to draw the line of symmetry through my graph, and your line of symmetry will always go through your vertex. And we list our line of symmetry as whatever the x value is of our vertex. So in this case, it's going through x equals -2. Now, using this information that we have listed out, if you need to, go ahead and sketch these graphs and answer the questions A through F that we did for the graph before, for question 2 and question 3.